Hooked On Fishing was brought to you by Matamata Sports World. For all your friendly advice and service, see us first. Hi, Chris Bungard helping you plan your weekend's fishing. Well, the weather forecast is not that flash. Let's have a look at the local trout fishing around the place here for a start. Some of the local streams and rivers should fish well this weekend. There's a little bit of rain forecasted for Friday and a little bit on Saturday. I don't think we're going to get a lot. Unfortunately, we could do with a nice warm rain for the farmers out there. Talking to my son Josh, farming out there at Harding Road, and said that, yeah, things are getting a wee bit dry and we could all do with a nice warm rain perhaps to get the garden and that going as well. But I don't think it'll be enough to have a major effect on the rivers and streams around the place. Don't forget, a lot of them are still closed. I've got a lot of people now coming in the shop and they're getting excited about getting into the spring trout fishing. But you must remember that a lot of the little streams are closed till the 1st of October. The good old Waihau, however, that's open, and Whites Road area down towards Pataru, mentioned on the show quite a few times, you can either go up Leslie Road or come on off Whites Road. There is some beautiful fish in there at the moment. I was talking to a couple of tourists from South Africa. They had a little look around there on Wednesday and they got a couple of little beauties. They weren't huge fish, they're about £2, but they were absolutely stoked and they couldn't get over, as I've said before on the show, the clarity of the water up there is just absolutely beautiful. I'll tell you what, even if you don't catch a fish, it's worth walking that Leslie Road track from the edge of the river there right through to Whites Road. It's just absolutely beautiful. Done it many a time, and you can see the fish so you can stalk them, and it really makes a beautiful day out. So perhaps have a think about that for the weekend. Take your kids along too. Grandparents, take your grandchildren along. It's a great walk along there. In the Rotorua region, talking to Glenn Skinner down there, he's very excited about the prospects of the new trout fishing season. He thinks the early signs are looking really good. What these guys do, because they're trout guides, they get out on some of these big lakes like Taurua, Rotowedi, Okataina, and they have a bit of a sift around. They're not allowed to troll lures and all that sort of thing, but they're out on there on their boat and they just get that sounder going. They're cruising around some of the edges and all that, and Glenn reckons that the population seems really, really good. And the guys down there, you're allowed to fly fish the edges of those lakes in certain areas, of course, and some of the stream mouths, that type of thing. And boy, they're catching some nice fish. So as I said, he thinks it's boding well for a very good competition coming up. If you're short of any gear, then come and see us at the shop too. We might better put you onto some sneaky equipment just to go down there and get yourself a nice big trout for opening day. In the Taupo region, talking to my man down there, Ken Duncan, and he said the rivers and streams down there are holding some nice fish at the moment. He's very excited about the way the Tauranga Taupo is going. He actually smoked a couple the other day and sent them up for the boys, and they're very, very nice condition at the moment. There is some spent fish around though. He just did warn that some of the browns particularly, that they go through and spawn a little bit earlier. Arm yourself with a little pair of long-nose pliers or something like that. Just be prepared to leave the fish in the water if it looks a bit slabby. You can generally tell when you get them to your feet or the bank's edge, and just whip that hook out and let them go for another day. But the rainbows in the rivers down there at the moment are very, very nice. There's a fresh run being through, and he thinks well worth a look around. Just watch out for the weather though. There is a bit of rain forecasted, as I said, for Friday. How much we're going to get, we're not really sure. I don't think there'll be a huge amount, so I don't think it'll affect the river fishing too much. The river mouth fishing, likes of the Tongariro, he tells me, is really good. He was talking to a couple of kayakers down there the other day, and they were cruising up and down just outside the markers there. And they got some nice fish, catching using the old Tasmanian devil type lure, and with the old kayak, if you've got one, just the action of the paddling seems to make that lure jerk along like that, and boy, it really works well. Of course, it's nice and quiet as well, it doesn't spook them like the outboards do. Well, the West Coast, let's have a look at that, because Dwayne Penny is very pleased with the way things have started up out there. It's the start of the spawning season, of course, out there on the West Coast. Malcolm Taylor, a few of the local tanker drivers and that sort of thing, been out there for a venture. Now, Dwayne went out the other day. They went to 52 metres of water off Albatross Point. So if you're going out from Carfair, that's slightly south of the entrance, and they got 109 snapper, and you think, whoa, what are they catching so many snapper for? They had 12 people on board, so, and out there you're allowed 10 each, so they were under their limit. But they got some beauties. The biggest one was about 9.1 kilos, so that's just a fraction under that magical 20-pound mark. So things are looking good out there. He's excited about the way the early prospects are looking good for a spawning season out there. If you get a chance to fish the West Coast over the next few weeks, certainly grab it with open arms. Get out there. If you're off Raglan, around about that 55 to 58 metres seems to be the depth out there at the moment. And if you don't get them in that depth, possibly go out a wee bit deeper, because the spawning fish move their way in from the deeper water, so you might head out there and sort of meet them, if you like, for want of a better term. In the Coromandel region, you've got a high tide in the afternoon around about 4:30. So you've got low tide at just after 10 o'clock. Full moon coming up next week. So you've got developing tides getting bigger. The incoming tide seems to be the best. Now, I've talked to a couple of guys that fished at the entrance of Mania Harbour, what they call Deadman's Point there. The mussel farms are there, then you've got the southern end of the mainland, and there's a nice little rocky reef sort of area in there, and they've been catching some nice fish. Generally, to be fair, it's been a bit patchy up the Coromandel. I know in the past I've always said Coromandel's number one, and I still think it is, but West Coast is going to take over from that. But of course, a lot of guys in their average fizz boats don't want to head out the West Coast, and I don't blame you. It's not a place for the faint-hearted. So Coromandel, as I said, the incoming tide, so get there around about 9 o'clock, fish the turn of the tide, and then fish the incoming. Over the hill into the Mercury Bay region, some quite nice fish coming in out there. John Elwood's been fishing the edge of the foul along Peach Grove, Tea Tree Point, Tea Tree Bay, along that area there. And out at Motiti and Mere, the edges of the foul on the western side of Motiti seem to be fishing quite well. Now, if you called in during the month of August, you would have been in the draw, of course, for a Kilwell reel. And in the same game for September, you call us on 0508 647462. You'll be in the draw for a reel. And the winner for August, we've got a little bucket here with lots of names in it, which is great. Keep them coming in. The winner for the month of August is Sharon Pratt. Now, Sharon's from Walton, so congratulations, Sharon. You have a brand new reel coming your way from Kilwell. This has been Chris Bungard helping you plan your weekends fishing. Hooked on Fishing was brought to you by Matamata Sports World. For all your friendly advice and service, see us first.